Have you ever wondered what happens when Amish twins marry on the same day? Their family's day starts at 4 a.m. with barn chores and ends at midnight after hosting 800 meal servings. Here is the complete timeline from dawn to exhaustion. 4 a.m. preparation. The day begins in darkness. The father wakes at 4 a.m. to milk cows. Morning chores cannot be skipped, even on a day when both his daughters are getting married. His wife rises with him. They pray together briefly, asking for strength to make it through the day ahead. By 4:30, both are in the kitchen. The mother lights the wood stove and begins cooking. Today is not a normal day. Today requires food for 400 guests who will eat twice. That means 800 total servings. The cooking started yesterday, but much remains to be done. The mother checks on roasted chickens prepared the night before. She stirs pots of creamed celery. She begins mashing potatoes in massive quantities. Extended family arrives at 5 a.m. to help. Aunts, cousins, neighbors. They work in assembly line fashion, preparing dishes that will feed the crowd. By 6 a.m., the house is filled with activity. Helpers set up benches in the main room for the first ceremony. Tables are arranged for the meal. The twin brides wake at 6:30 and begin dressing in their handmade blue wedding dresses. 8:30 a.m. first ceremony. At 8:30 a.m. sharp, the first wedding ceremony begins. The older twin marries first. She and her groom sit at the front of the room facing the congregation. 400 guests pack into the house and a temporary structure built in the yard. The service is conducted in High German. The bishop preaches. Hymns are sung without instrumental accompaniment. The singing is slow and deliberate, each syllable drawn out. The ceremony follows the same pattern as every Amish wedding: scripture reading, sermon, counseling for the couple, vows exchanged. The bishop asks if they promise to remain together until death. They answer yes. There is no kiss, no rings, no photography. The ceremony is simple and solemn. It lasts 3 hours. During this time, helpers in the kitchen continue preparing the meal. The smell of roasting chicken fills the house. By 11:30, the ceremony concludes. The newlyweds exit first, followed by the wedding party. Guests file out to wait while the benches are converted to tables for the meal. 12 p.m. first meal. Noon marks the beginning of the first meal. 400 guests must be fed. The tables form a U shape with the bride and groom seated at the corner table called the Ek. The wedding party sits at adjacent tables. Guests fill the remaining seats. Because space is limited, the meal is served in 2 shifts. Half the guests eat first, while the other half wait outside. Young men and women selected as table waiters serve the food. They carry platters of roasted chicken, bowls of mashed potatoes with gravy, and dishes of creamed celery. Homemade bread is passed around. Pies and cookies follow for dessert. The meal is hearty and filling. Guests eat and visit for 30 to 40 minutes. Then they clear their places and move outside so the second shift can sit down. The same meal is served again to the remaining guests. While eating happens, the twin who is not yet married prepares for her ceremony. She stays hidden in a bedroom, waiting. Her time will come in a few hours. 2 p.m. cleanup. By 2 p.m., the first meal is finished. Now comes the massive cleanup before the second wedding. Helpers collect hundreds of dirty plates, cups, and utensils. They carry them to the kitchen in large tubs. A team of women washes dishes in deep sinks using hot water heated on the stove. Another team dries and stacks them. The dishes must be washed quickly because they will be needed again for the second meal. Tables are wiped down and reset with fresh napkins and silverware. The benches are rearranged back into rows for the second ceremony. The floor is swept. Trash is collected and removed. The entire reset takes an hour of frantic work. During this time, the first newlywed couple sits with guests, receiving congratulations. But the day is far from over. The family has no time to rest. The second twins' wedding begins in 2 hours. Food must be kept warm or reheated. More coffee must be brewed. The pace does not slow. Helpers work continuously, many of them attending both ceremonies and serving both meals. By 3 p.m., the house is ready again. 3 p.m. second setup. At 3 p.m., final preparations begin for the second ceremony. The younger twin and her groom take their positions. She wears a blue dress identical in style to her sister's, but a slightly different shade. Her wedding party assembles. Some of the same siblings who served as attendants in the morning serve again in the afternoon. They have been standing and working for nearly 12 hours already, but they cannot stop now. The same 400 guests gather again. Some traveled home between ceremonies, but most stayed, visiting with family and friends during the break. The bishop prepares to conduct his second ceremony of the day. He has already preached for 3 hours this morning. Now he must preach another 3 hours. The mother checks the kitchen one more time. The second meal is ready. Chicken is warming. Potatoes are being mashed again. Fresh pies have been baked. Everything is in place. She takes a brief moment to sit down and drink water. Her feet ache. Her back is stiff. But there is no time to think about discomfort. In 30 minutes, the second ceremony will begin. 4 p.m. second ceremony. The second ceremony begins at 4 p.m. It follows the exact same pattern as the morning ceremony. German hymns, scripture reading, sermon from the bishop, private counseling for the couple. Vows exchanged before the congregation. The structure is identical, but this ceremony carries its own significance. This is the younger twin's wedding day, and it deserves the same attention and solemnity as her sister's. The guests settle onto hard benches for another 3 hours of worship. The singing is as slow and deliberate as it was in the morning. The bishop preaches with the same intensity despite his exhaustion. By 7 p.m., the second ceremony concludes. The younger twin is now married. Both daughters have wed on the same day. The mother watches from her seat, tears in her eyes. This moment has been planned for months. Both daughters are married within the same 12 hours. The family is changed forever, but there is no time to process emotions. The second meal must be served immediately. Guests are hungry again. The work continues. 7 p.m. Second meal. At 7 p.m., the second meal service begins. Once again, 400 guests must be fed. The same tables are set. The same food is served. Roasted chicken, mashed potatoes, creamed celery, homemade bread, pies, and cookies. The table waiters, exhausted from serving all day, carry platters to the tables. The meal proceeds in 2 shifts, just as it did at noon. The first shift eats while the second waits. Then they switch. The process takes 2 hours. By 9 p.m., all 400 guests have been fed their second meal of the day. The dishes are collected again. The washing begins again. But this time, the end is in sight. There will be no third ceremony, no third meal. The long day is nearly over. The 2 newlywed couples sit together with their wedding parties. They are surrounded by family and friends who have worked tirelessly to make this day possible. The evening meal is less formal than the noon meal. Guests relax and visit. Laughter fills the house. The tension and exhaustion of the day begin to ease. 9 p.m. evening singing. At 9 p.m., the evening singing begins. This is a tradition for young people to gather after the wedding meal and sing hymns together. The singing is more relaxed than the ceremony hymns. Some songs are in English rather than German. The youth sit in a large circle, taking turns choosing songs. The 2 brides and their new husbands participate. They are surrounded by friends who have known them their entire lives. The singing lasts an hour or more. It is a time for fellowship and celebration after the formality of the ceremonies. Older guests begin to leave. They have been at the house since morning. Parents with young children head home to put their children to bed, but the youth stay. This is their time to socialize and enjoy the evening. The singing continues until nearly 11 p.m. By then, only close family and a few lingering friends remain. The house is quieter now. The long day is winding down. But there is still cleanup to be done before anyone can sleep. 10 p.m. final cleanup. At 10 p.m., the final cleanup begins. The remaining helpers tackle the last round of dishes. Pots and pans from the kitchen are scrubbed and put away. Tables are wiped down one last time. Benches are stacked and loaded onto wagons to be returned to the families who loaned them. Leftover food is divided among the helpers to take home. The floors are swept and mopped. Trash is collected and carried outside. The temporary structure in the yard will be dismantled tomorrow, but for tonight it stays up. The family is too exhausted to take it down. The mother moves slowly through the kitchen, checking that everything is in order. She has been on her feet since 4 a.m. 18 hours of continuous work. Her daughters come to her and embrace her. They thank her for giving them this day. She smiles but says little. There are no words for what she feels. Pride, exhaustion, relief, joy, all mixed together. By 11 p.m., the last helpers leave. The house is finally quiet. The family sits together in the living room. They are too tired to speak. Tomorrow they will help the newlyweds clean up and prepare to move into their new homes. But tonight, they simply rest. Midnight. At midnight, the house is dark. Everyone has gone to bed. The two newlywed couples sleep in separate rooms of the bride's family home. Tomorrow they will begin their married lives. But tonight, they are still under their parents' roof. The father checks the doors and windows one last time before heading to bed. He thinks about the day. 2 daughters married in one day. 2 ceremonies. 2 meals. 800 servings of food. 400 guests twice. It seemed impossible when they began planning months ago. But the community came through. Neighbors and extended family provided the labor that made it possible. This is how Amish weddings work. The burden is shared. No single family could host 2 weddings alone. But with help, even the impossible becomes manageable. The mother lies in bed, unable to sleep despite her exhaustion. She replays the day in her mind. Both daughters looked beautiful in their blue dresses. Both ceremonies were reverent and meaningful. Both grooms are good men who will care for her daughters. She prays silently, thanking God for bringing both daughters safely to this day. Tomorrow, the work continues. But tonight, she allows herself a moment of satisfaction. It is done. Both daughters are married. The day she has worked toward for months is over. She thinks about the planning that led to this day. Months of preparation. Sewing 2 wedding dresses. Coordinating with extended family about who would bring what dishes. Arranging for enough benches to seat 400 people. Deciding which helpers would serve which meal. Every detail required thought and organization. And somehow, despite the complexity, everything worked. Both ceremonies started on time. Both meals were served hot. No one went hungry. No major disasters occurred. A few minor things went wrong. A pot of gravy scorched and had to be remade quickly. One of the benches collapsed during the afternoon ceremony, dumping 3 guests onto the floor. But these were small problems, quickly resolved. The day succeeded because the community willed it to succeed. Everyone worked together toward the same goal. And now, at midnight, with both daughters married and the house quiet, the mother finally allows herself to feel the weight of what has been accomplished. When Amish twins marry on the same day, the logistics are staggering. 2 3-hour ceremonies, 2 full meals for 400 guests each, 800 total servings, 18 hours of continuous work for the family and helpers. The day requires military-level coordination and execution. Every detail must be planned. Every task must be completed on schedule. There is no room for error. The food must be ready when guests sit down. The benches must be converted to tables between events. The dishes must be washed and reused. The second ceremony must start on time regardless of how the first one went. The physical and emotional toll on the family is immense. The parents host both their daughters' weddings in a single day. They provide the location, the food, the coordination, and the labor. They do this without complaint because this is what parents do. They sacrifice for their children's important life events. The community makes it possible. Without the 200 helpers who cook, serve, wash dishes, and manage logistics, the double wedding could not happen. But with help, the impossible becomes reality. The twins marry on the same day. Both ceremonies are beautiful. Both meals are abundant. Both couples begin their married lives surrounded by love and support. And at midnight, when the house finally goes quiet, the family can rest, knowing they accomplished something remarkable. 2 weddings in one day, from 4 a.m. to midnight, 18 hours of work. 2 daughters married, one exhausted but satisfied family.